YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Surprise, surprise. A brutal killing took place at a prehistoric stone circle during the summer solstice last week, which led to the arrest of a 41-year-old man. Now, most of you know this is the reason I started my channel. It was to expose satanic rituals, satanic ritual abuse, which obviously revolves around children. This was long before any of this stuff with Jeffrey Epstein was presented to us by the government. This was when the mass awakening actually started to occur, culminating with everything we saw at Comet Ping Pong, a lot of the trafficking that we were seeing, the imagery that we were seeing from James Alefontis, the trafficking imagery with children and baby dolls and pizza slices over children's crotches and disgusting innuendos that were everywhere on social media from all the people involved. And I always warn about the solstices and the equinoxes because most Christians are completely oblivious to the real things that occur on these specific holidays. They think everybody's running around, holding hands, gardening in the middle of these fields like Stonehenge or some of these places like you're about to see here, which is called Nine Ladies Stone Circle. Okay, these places are prominent for satanic rituals to occur. This has to do with portals, dimensions, demonic possession. That's what this is about. Most Christians are completely oblivious to this, and it occurs every single year. In fact, it occurs every single day, human sacrifice. Just unfortunately, most people don't pay attention to it because they don't know that actually is going on because it's not reported on the news. Most people live in a false reality where everything they think is going on is presented to them on the news. But nobody knows that in every town in America, every town around the earth, there are covens. In these covens, women are birthing children. These children are unknown. They don't have birth certificates. You don't even know that some of these women are having the babies. You might pass them on the street one day, them going out to a market, probably going somewhere with fecal matter to go bathe in it. But nonetheless, you see these women. You don't know who these women are. You just assume that they're married and they're going to have a baby, or they're getting married and having a baby. These women in covens, these witches, their whole purpose in life is to birth children for sacrifice. And you never hear about it because it's never reported on the news. These births occur, these rituals then happen, and that's the end of the story. The bones get buried, and there's no investigation because nobody ever knows these children are ever even born. So that being said about satanic rituals and the solstices, we have a sacrifice occurring on the summer solstice, and you think this would start waking people up. So the story is that a man was killed in a, quote, most brutal way, which they have not released the actual evidence because, of course, which happens most of the time in these satanic ritual sacrifices that end up becoming mainstream, they don't want you to know about any carvings on the flesh, right? Sometimes there's carvings on the flesh or certain amounts of stab wounds that would really show this is a ritual sacrifice. They just say it's a brutal way, and they'll probably say decapitated or something along those lines, or many stab wounds, because they don't want the public to realize that this is actually running rampant in our society. That Satanists and witches actually still exist, and they perform human sacrifice still to this day. They want you to think that that satanic panic, that we're all conspiracy theorists, we're all wearing tinfoil hats, it's all diversions that they've created, these illusions, it's propaganda they've put out there to make people not pay attention to this, because this would unite the people, as has happened in history, past history. People have found out about these people, these witches and these Satanists performing ritual sacrifice on animals and children, and they've united together. And what have they done? Well, take a guess on what happened to those witches. You've heard, of course, of ritual killings, and we all know about what occurred with the burning of actual witches. So this 41-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of murder after the victim was found at 9 Ladies Stone Circle in Stanton Lees, Derbyshire on Monday afternoon. He has since been released on bail, which again, I'm sure they'll say there's not enough evidence to convict him. This is what happens, as I'll get into in the video, with most of these people convicted, just like McMartin Preschool, where there was Satanism involved in the occult. They dismiss these things as crazy. Oh, it's lunacy, because they protect one another. And anytime they're convicted, they get their convictions reversed. I'll talk about with the West Memphis 3. Some of you may remember when I talked about the Oak Hill Satanic Ritual Abuse trial. Again, Fran Dreller, her husband, ran a small daycare. This is what they've been doing. They've been hiding out and pretending to be Christians. Most of these Satanists running daycares, etc. They know how to ritually abuse, so these children never come forward with their secrets because they put them through trauma-based mind control. These people who run them, like in the case of Oak Hill, they got sentenced to 48 years in prison. And of course, that got reversed because evidence changed and the charges were dismissed in 2017, as I covered at the time. They were declared actually innocent, and it was all part of the satanic panic, because this is what the system is set up to do, to protect these actual perpetrators of satanic ritual abuse, whether it's actual ritual sacrifice murders or just pedophilia and these acts that they perform, these satanic ritual acts with young children. They always get out of it. And my video on Oak Hill is on my website, A Call for an Uprising, as well as many others, including the West Memphis 3, which I will touch on a little bit in this video. So the police said a young man's life has been taken in the most brutal way, so it is vital that myself and the team build up a clear picture of the exact circumstances surrounding his death. The Stone Circle is traditionally believed to depict 9 ladies turned to stone as a penalty for dancing on a Sunday. And again, I've said over the years, they live, we sleep. The quote from the movie, They Live, right? They live, we sleep. Because as a society, we are dead asleep to what's actually going on. Christians are dead asleep to this stuff. Christians are more interested in paying attention to if men could use a women's bathroom and all the stuff the government has created as a diversion, so you don't pay attention to the real stuff happening right in front of you, right? This is stuff that's actually occurring, human sacrifice. These are things that would unite humanity, no matter what their beliefs are, because even people who aren't Christian would be against human ritual sacrifice, specifically animals and children, okay? They live, we sleep, because we don't pay attention to these things. Now, 9 Ladies Stone Circle, okay, this is another place. It looks just like Stonehenge, right? Supposedly created 4,000 years ago. It consists of 9 small standing stones arranged in a rough circle about 33 to 36 feet in diameter, right? Of course, because the numerology is very important. 36, you get your 666. 33, we all know about, again, how prominent that number is in the occult, which I'll touch into again in this video as well when it comes to Aleister Crowley, Freemasonry, and the fallen angels. So the supposed folktales that 9 young women were dancing on the Sabbath day Sunday, which, I mean, depending on if you believe Sunday's the Sabbath or Saturday, but they were dancing on the Sabbath to the music of a fiddler. As punishment for breaking the Sabbath, they were turned to stone by divine intervention, sometimes blamed on the devil. That's the supposed story around this place where people show up during things like the summer solstice to, for what purpose? What, they're like, oh, we're pretend witches. We're cosplaying, right? That's the big illusion here with witches, and say, oh, they're just cosplaying. All these people that show up at Stonehenge dressed in cloaks, leave them alone. They're just cosplaying. They're just dressing up and speaking in tongues, and they've nothing better to do. It's summer solstice, so they want to just pretend like they've, like it's all the movies they've seen. They want to show up there and dance around rocks, right? And hold hands and play fiddles. I mean, give me an utter break, okay? There are other videos out there about the 9 Lady Stone Circle that you could watch for yourself. It is believed to be a massive dimensional gateway, as you can see in one of the thumbnails of the videos there. If you actually look at that video, it goes into detail about the actual location, the paranormal claims, demonic possession claims that have taken place at that specific location, and of course it being used as a portal, which again ties into the belief, again, with these ritual gateways, even the belief that they admit with Stonehenge. They won't tell you about satanic ritual abuse, but the story behind Stonehenge, which I've covered, is they believe, well, it's a place that they go where people who have passed, then, they transition to the dead. And we even saw that ritual that they did with the Queen of England, right? Queen Elizabeth, where they had her, her image all over Stonehenge. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? They do this stuff right in front of us. But they serve as portals as well. That's why you see in all these movies when they have the giant circle on the floor and the witches are around it and they're doing spells, they're summoning entities, they're summoning demons. It serves as a portal or a gateway to bring demons forward. So what people need to pay attention to is that the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, the winter solstice, which again, Saturnalia falls right on Christmas, these supposed holidays where they tell you, well, it's all about, the spring. Its day and night are equal in length, and the summer is the longest day, the shortest day of the night. That's what they're celebrating, okay? These are all fronts for what really occurs on these days, which are ritual sacrifice, which again, they want you to think is ridiculous. And you'll get people in the comments because sometimes we get Satanists, and which is what I used to, that would find the channel. Now the channel's so buried that even those people can't find the channel to come over and go, this guy's completely nuts. We don't do that stuff. Right? Because again, there are a small amount of them that are so ridiculously retarded that they do participate in these events thinking that it is like some type of cosplay, because that's how, our society has become. Giant children pretending to be adults, right? They're 40 years old and they're acting like 10-year-olds. Like, I'm going to go to Stonehenge and I'm going to dress up in a cloak. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, there are some idiots like that, but really the origins and what occurs is human sacrifice. It doesn't mean that it's happening out in the open. It doesn't mean if you show up at Stonehenge on summer solstice, you could expect to watch somebody get murdered. Of course not. Only cases like this actually occur where actual individuals show up, find a body that wasn't properly disposed of, and then report it to the police. And then the police have to figure out, because we all know the police are connected directly to Freemasonry, as I've exposed over there, the Fraternal Order of Police. And of course, you can see in the UK police, they have it around their hat, the checkerboard. So then they go, well, we got to figure out how we can get this story dismissed. Because people are going to hear solstice and they're going to think, they're going to see all the stones, and then they're going to hear someone got murdered. They're going to think of Satanism is real, right? That's their main priority. Not the dead body, not the family, related to the person who was executed. It's covering up that these people actually exist. And this isn't the first we've heard. I mean, they've touched on this before, because at this point, they can just get away with whatever they want. And it also plays into the Satanic Panic. When like Dateline NBC does the night of the summer solstice, right? Which is a infamous murder that occurred in the Los Angeles tunnel, where there's pentagrams all around the tunnel, etc. It happened on the summer solstice, and then they talk about Satanism. Oh, this is a satanic ritual sacrifice. Then, of course, they dismiss it because that's what they want to do. They know people will watch. Ooh, this night of summer solstice. Oh, that sounds spooky. Let me check that. Oh, there's satanic people doing ritual sacrifice. And then, of course, during the story, then they go, we don't really believe it's connected to Satanism, but it's an eerie little thing that's tied in. There's some there's a little things there that make us go, oh, it could be, but it's likely not. So that, again, plants seeds in people's minds that, oh, okay, well, that's not real. It's just like a movie, right? People can look at the Matamoros cult killings, okay, which is one of the creepiest things, led by Adolfo Costanzo, who was a part of a cult in Mexico, and they're abducting people, committing sacrifices, believed around the same one, summer solstice, spring equinox, a lot of these rituals where they found massive cauldrons with bones of people. And again, I mentioned the West Memphis 3. It's an important one because our society is so dumbed down that Christians actually believe the propaganda produced by HBO, that these kids who committed human sacrifice didn't do it because they watched documentaries that were obviously made, because documentaries, just like ones we've seen throughout history, are designed to sway how you actually view what has occurred in human history or an event that has actually occurred. That's what it is. Documentaries, by definition, are propaganda. So HBO conveniently released a propaganda piece on Damien Eccles and his friends who committed ritual sacrifice. Then they continued to release movies trying to pin it on the fathers. So you see people go, oh no, you're wrong. They wouldn't really do it, right? Because this is how they created the stereotype of, well, they liked Metallica and heavy metal music, and that's why they were blamed. When there was piles of evidence connected to these kids, Aleister Crowley's teachings in human sacrifice, which will show you. Again, because we're talking about ritual sacrifice and the fact that they live, we sleep. The majority of people don't believe this is a normal thing that occurs. The documentary is called Paradise Lost, okay? So let's just look at it from this perspective. 3 kids supposedly commit human sacrifice. They get arrested, they get convicted, they go to prison, right? Then all of a sudden, HBO comes out with a documentary. And guys like Johnny Depp, who we know are Satanists, who are witches, warlocks, all are doing everything they can, including showing up to get these kids who are now adults released from prison, right? How does it happen with anybody else? This murder's happening all the time. Celebrities don't get involved. Oh, well, we're getting involved because we think it was just based on the fact that they liked Metallica and they had dark hair, right? So clearly there was a reason they had to get Eccles out of prison. I believe he's a direct descendant of Aleister Crowley, as I've mentioned in my videos, which are on the website where I go into deeper detail about the West Memphis 3. But for anyone who doesn't know, Peter Jackson, this troll-looking human on the right next to Damien Eccles, who was freed from prison, right? Of course, all freed under not admitting that they were innocent, but pretty much admitting they were guilty, and then they get let out of prison. I mean, the whole thing is just an absolute joke. But Peter Jackson, most people don't know, other than the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which most Christians think have to do with Christianity. It's another indoctrination into witchcraft. It's incredible how dumb most Christians are because they like these movies. And then when they hear it's Satanism or witchcraft, they go, oh, no. That guy's just over the top. I'm a good Christian. I go to church every Sunday, so it's okay for me to show my kids The Lord of the Rings, then every Disney movie which is based on magic, etc. It's really because they don't want to believe it. So Peter Jackson, known for The Lord of the Rings, did anyone out there know this? He played a pivotal role in the exoneration of the West Memphis Three. After watching the documentary Paradise Lost, how convenient, Jackson became outraged by the wrongful convictions. How many trials have we seen where there's ridiculous, OJ, whatever, right? Where we see these trials, which are really just theater, where you can see and you say, oh, this guy's actually innocent. There's plenty of people in jail who are innocent. There's plenty of people on death row who are innocent, right? We know that there's these organizations that try to get these people out of jail when there's no evidence. Sometimes, a lot of times it's a black person who was convicted of crime, might not have actually done the crime, or somebody else who's been convicted and there was no evidence whatsoever, but the police pretty much pinned it on them, and then you find out there's lots of other reasons the police pinned it on the actual person. You don't see these celebrities going out of their way to free them, right? It had to be these guys. So Peter Jackson, who eventually became massively, a major player in Hollywood, creating the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he was involved in freeing them. They financed an independent investigation over 7 years, hiring forensic experts and gathering DNA evidence that cast doubt on the prosecution's satanic ritual theory. Their efforts culminated in the production of the documentary West of Memphis, which presented new evidence, right? So a movie actually getting these people released from prison. And again, there's a reason for it because, of course, there's likely a bloodline connection with Eccles. So Lord of the Rings, the guy who makes Lord of the Rings, Johnny Depp, Eddie Vedder, known for the band Pearl Jam. These are all people who were involved, who were holding hands with these guys when they got let out of prison. All right, so this convinces the public even more. Oh my gosh, these people really are innocent. But now that so many people have woken up to Hollywood being nothing but a bunch of pedophiles and Satanists, they should look back at this. But this is one of those trials they don't, because they'll watch, the West Memphis 3 propaganda HBO pieces like Paradise Lost, and they'll go, no, I don't believe that. But if they're smart enough, they'll connect the dots, as I'll show you in a second here. So Stephen Colbert, again, we talk about Lord of the Rings and Satanism. He is now been, he hasn't done the job for the left-right divide good enough. They've moved him on from his role as a late-night host to actually creating a new Lord of the Rings movie. You might remember, as I covered Stephen Colbert over the years, with Pizzagate connected to John Podesta. Why are these people in politics hanging out with people like Stephen Colbert before they're even supposedly famous? And then he's put in a spot like late-night TV, where it used to get big-time views, where David Letterman was, those guys got no talent whatsoever. And I don't just say that for no reason. If you've watched Stephen Colbert, he couldn't be less funny. I mean, that's part of the problem, why they had to cut him from that job, is because he's so bad at it that it wasn't working, right? So he covered Pizzagate at the time, of course, and went out and deflected all these people talking about a pizza place and child trafficking are all dangerous. They're responsible for a fake shooting that occurred there, right? I mean, it's really unbelievable. So he'll be making a Lord of the Rings movie. And again, not to go off subject here, but when we talk about the West Memphis 3, even Stranger Things, basically one of the characters in the film, in the series, which became like a very popular, if not the most popular character, off of Damien Eccles. So they tried to make it look like, oh my gosh, the Christians, as I covered, those videos also available on the website at callforuprising.com, all scrubbed off of YouTube when they terminated the channels. But they have the character there who plays Dungeons and Dragons, right? Another gateway game. Most Satanists will tell you, people in the occult who have left the occult, that that's where it started. Dungeons and Dragons, right? The occult would even train children, their own children in it, playing it, practicing magic, right? So the character does that. He has a Hellfire Club shirt, and he gets picked on by the Christian jocks, right? The stereotype, because he listens to heavy metal music and plays Dungeons and Dragons, right? They based it off of Damien Eccles. So this, again, helps build the stereotype to protect these people. But nobody ever talks about Damien Eccles, is that Damien Eccles literally had a blood contract with Aleister Crowley. It's even in Paradise Lost. You can hear them talk about, well, the police and the evidence, what they find, because they were going, well, they didn't find enough stuff. They found books of Aleister Crowley's teachings, for starters, and they found blood contracts that the three boys who supposedly, who actually did commit the murder, I should say, had with Aleister Crowley, blood contracts, blood oaths. Okay, so that's proven. People go, that's just circumstantial evidence, right? Oh, is it circumstantial evidence that they had books in their homes about human sacrifice? Yeah, that's not enough for you? That's what Aleister Crowley teaches. They had Wicca magic, witchcraft books. They had notebooks with poems and drawings about human sacrifice, booklets compiling spells and potions, books on, you name it, black magic.
You're familiar with a fellow named Aleister Crowley?
I know who he is. I know who he is.
Aleister Crowley is a guy that, based on his writings, believes in human sacrifice, doesn't he?
He also believed he was God, though. So
he also had writings that indicated that children were the best type of human sacrifice, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay. But Aleister Crowley doesn't have any particular significance to you?
I know who he is. I've read a little bit about him, but I've never read anything by him. Where I had on different alphabets for like translations where you could write things that nobody could read, and this was one of the forms.
Oh, okay. Well, where did you have that at? When did you do that, write those things out?
Sometime before I was arrested, I guess.
Okay. Are you sure that you hadn't done those since you were arrested while you've been staying in jail?
I don't know, I might have.
Well, whose names are written on that document?
Mine, Jason's, my son's, one that says Aleister Crowley, and
Wait, who?
Aleister Crowley.
Now, this is a document that you've written while you've been waiting in jail for trial, right?
If you say so.
Well, you wrote it, correct? That's your writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You recall when you wrote it?
Not really.
Well, what I'm going to ask you is that this Damien Seth Azariah Eccles, your son, he wasn't born until after you were placed in jail, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you've got his name listed on this document, then this document had to be generated after he was born, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is something you've written since you've been sitting in here in jail waiting for trial.
Yes.
And what you were doing was writing out various names in different type alphabets, correct?
From the way it looks here, I was practicing, trying to memorize them.
Okay. And one of the names that you picked out to write about was this fellow named Aleister Crowley, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that just a total coincidence? You just pulled his name out of the air?
No, it's just the same book that I had with the different alphabets in it. It also had stuff about him in it.
Well, did you have the book out there at the time you were doing this?
This was just from what I remembered myself, where I was practicing, trying to memorize, get it all in my head.
So you were going over it and working on it in your head, and at that point in time, you write all this down from memory?
Mm-hmm.
The people that are listed on here, you've got your name on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Jason Baldwin, which is your best friend, right? And then you've got Damien Seth Azariah Eccles, that's your son?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then the only other name on this document, besides yourself, your best friend, and your son, is Aleister Crowley, correct?
Yes, sir.
Margaret, 2 teenage girls took the stand this morning, and they said they heard Damien Eccles confess to the murders of 3 8-year-old boys last May. One of the girls said she overheard Damien Eccles say, "I killed the 3 boys, and I'm going to kill 2 more. I already have 1 picked out."
Right? Including, I don't know if anyone knows, Lieber, you know this book by Aleister Crowley? 333, yes, again, 333, which represents, as we heard earlier in the video, right? Those stones were 33 feet apart. 33 is a big number in the occult. 1/3 of the fallen angels, the belief that 1/3 of the fallen angels fell with Satan. Okay, Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. When Satan was cast down with 1/3 of the angels that fell to the earth. We know the Freemasons use the number 33. It's the highest ranking you can get in Freemasonry. And again, 33 is also symbolic because it's the age that it is believed that Jesus Christ was murdered. And in Crowley's book, should I just read it to you real quick? So anyone out there wants to know, these are the books that are on the kids' that they own, right? And they're innocent because they like Metallica, and you're blaming them because they look gothic, right? That's the stereotype that the movie created. All right, this is in Crowley's book. The animal should therefore be killed within the circle or the triangle, right? So there's your circle, like you see at this place where this guy was murdered, as the case may be, so that its energy cannot escape. An animal should be selected whose nature accords with that of the ceremony. Thus, by sacrificing a female lamb, of course, lamb, right? We have lamb and goats. One would not obtain any appreciate quantity of the fierce energy useful to a magician who is invoking Mars. Interesting, Mars, right? The planet, supposedly the planet you go travel to, Mars. Again, all this stuff with NASA is all occult teaching, the planets, the naming of the planets, right? And people are like, let's invest in SpaceX. We're going to Mars. They're so stupid. It's unbelievable. But in such a case, a ram would be more suitable, and this ram should be a virgin. The whole potential of its original total energy should not be. And again, energy, when they reference energy harvesting is really the core of these rituals and witchcraft with human sacrifice, but have been diminished in any way. For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable, you believe this, victim. Free of occasions, it would be more convenient to place the blood of the victim in the triangle, the idea being that the spirit might obtain from the blood this subtle but physical substance, which was the quintessence of its life, in such a manner as to enable it to take on a visible and tangible shape. And then it goes on to say this. Those magicians who object to the use of blood have endeavored to replace it with incense. Okay, so think about that. Right? And even in the church, how this New Age Christianity, incense and stones, this is a lower form of witchcraft, but they replace it with incense. For such a purpose, the incense of Abramelin may be burnt in large quantities. Didney of Crete is also a valuable medium. Both these incenses are very Catholic in their nature and suitable for almost any materialization, but the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious, and for nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best. The truly great magician will be able to use his own blood, or possibly that of a disciple, and that without sacrificing the physical life. An example of this is given in chapter 44 of Liber 333. The Mass may be recommended generally for daily practice, right? So if you're not going to commit human sacrifice to somebody else, because it might be inconvenient for you if you're not, if you're not somebody in politics or Hollywood who's fully protected, right? You might as well, try getting your own blood, somebody else's blood. This is where all this stuff stems from with blood rituals, blood oaths, which have been normalized in our society, right? So Aleister Crowley was quoted saying, "The serpent Satan is not the enemy of man, but he who made gods of our race, knowing good and evil. He bade know thyself and taught initiation." Again, his books, all about magic, right? Which goes back to Eccles, which goes back to this ritual killing that occurred on summer solstice, right? Magic. Again, you've been trained to not believe that it's real, but it's right in front of you at every turn. You don't even think about Bible verses about Satan being the prince of the power of the air, do you? Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think about how we have frequencies around us, how Wi-Fi and the internet and all this stuff works? No, it's just technology, right? You don't know what it is, how it's working. Oh, right. Oh, it's kind of like magic, right? Or you don't realize that you're taking your kids to the Magic Kingdom, right? It's all good fun because it's Magic Kingdom, it's Disney. Oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? Talking about magic when every single Disney movie revolves around magic and indoctrinates kids with magic. And of course, Disney's connection to Dee Malay, Freemasonry, Job's daughters, and, pretty much everything related to the CIA and mind control experiments and operations. Most people still will dismiss that automatically when there's nothing but evidence. So Damien Echols today, of course, freed from prison, as I'm sure this guy who committed the murder, who's already out on bail for committing murder. I mean, he's not a threat to, isn't the whole thing like you can get out on bail if you're not a threat to society? Well, if you commit murder, you might be a threat. And they're like, well, we don't have enough evidence to prove it. Right. Oh, right. You don't have enough evidence to prove it. You've only arrested him, and he's only the guy, who's probably got his DNA and stuff. Oh, are you trying to figure out a way to dismiss the case and say the evidence was tampered? I'm sure. Right? So Eccles is free. And what do you think Eccles is doing now? Eccles, who they say, they were wrongfully convicted. They were just listening to heavy metal music. Oh, well, Eccles today is free, and he has a YouTube channel, of course, not censored, fully monetized, so he can make content every day. Unlike me. Well, Eccles is, what do you think he's doing with his time? Well, he's, this YouTube channel, he's teaching people black magic, and he's writing books like High Magic, right? That's what he's doing. right? And nobody's going, wait a minute, he let this guy out because he thought he was practicing Satanism and witchcraft because nobody has a brain and thinks. And now he's out and he's teaching young children because he became famous, somewhat famous, because he's hanging out with Johnny Depp and Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings. And he's hanging out with Hollywood celebrities. And he's just, oh yeah, and he was innocently framed. And he's based on that character that we've made, look really cool and Stranger Things. So check him out, Damien Eccles. Course in High Magic, invoking divine energy to heal your past, transcend your limitations, and step into your true potential. It's unbelievable. Right? All inspired by Crowley, who these guys took a blood oath with, who had all his books in their home. And we see it in pop culture, right? Because this is why Hollywood and the government, they protect all of this stuff because they're all involved in it, right? John Lennon, the whole Beatles idea was to do what you want. Do without will, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody. Oh, wow, where do you get that? Oh, Aleister Crowley, do without will, shall be the whole of the law, right? And of course, they never hid that. The Beatles have album covers where they have dead baby limbs of dolls with decapitated, and they're all smiling. I've shown you the 666, all the other stuff, but they have Crowley on their album cover, Sgt. Pepper's, right? We've seen the Jonas Brothers, who present themselves as Christians in our society. All the young girls, oh, the Jonas Brothers, right? Walking around in public with Aleister Crowley's face, wearing it right on their shirts. Even Jay-Z, who everyone should know is Satanist, do without will, right? Guys, I think Jay-Z's now a billionaire. You could probably name 2 songs he's ever done. Does that make you a billionaire? I mean, what do you think Jay-Z's really involved in? Jay-Z, again, fully protected. And again, Aleister Crowley, all of his teachings are now normalized, as I've said in previous videos over the years, in today's society, even yoga. Why do you think they shove yoga down everyone's throat? Goat yoga, the goat, the Baphomet yoga, all these celebrities doing it. They've normalized it, and people get all offended by it because they go, if it wasn't for yoga, my back hurt really bad. Now I feel better. Don't crap on yoga. Don't do this, right? Because if they like it and it's something in their day-to-day life, they don't want to believe that it has any occult tie-ins, right? We've all been trained in this stuff. This is what the system has done to all of us, all these things. Even look at sports and Freemasonry, connection to baseball. I mean, football, the NFL is a direct connection to skull and bones. I've exposed all of it. We've all been indoctrinated with it and not realized it. So don't defend it. You still want to partake in it? Go ahead. That's your life, not mine. I'm not telling you you're a Satanist if you do yoga. I'm telling you the origins of it. Aleister Crowley's 8 lectures on yoga. And why do you think they've normalized it? Because it helps open up the third eye, right? Supposedly. And of course, makes you prone to potential demonic possession. So anyway, satanic ritual abuse is real. I've covered this book before, Satanic Ritual Abuse, Principles of Treatment. I've talked about many of these wonderful men who have come, like Russ Dizdar, who have spent their lives devoted to helping victims of satanic ritual abuse, despite being slandered and told that these guys are nut jobs because they actually believe that that's actually real. But if you actually study psychiatry, you'll see that they've taken all of these things that are involved with satanic ritual abuse, and then they've given them different names, like people who have multiple personality disorder. These are all actually caused from satanic ritual abuse. They have altars and things like that. But in psychiatry, they've made names and they've given it this term, and then they've taught you that that's what it is. So when we talk about satanic ritual abuse, they automatically go, no, that's schizophrenia. No, that's multiple personality disorder, right? And again, when we look at, how long this stuff's been going on, even like the milk cartons of the missing children, this stuff, a lot, people don't even go, why are these kids missing, right? People just want other people's kids, right? I mean, it's like the animals going missing. You want someone else's dog, you can't just go to PetSmart and get a dog. Oh, watch out, and people's dogs just go missing. Like somebody wants it all revolves around the equinoxes, the solstices, and sacrifice, okay? Even books like Don't Make Me Go Back, Mommy, where I talked about this, where they specifically, children, books have been written in the past after the satanic panic, stuff that the government created to make people think that all people who talked about Satanism and the occult were psychotic people or weird, crazy Christians. Children came forward because they go through such trauma, they're afraid to ever come forward and admit to what's occurred to them. Because what these psychopaths do is they threaten them. They don't just ritually abuse them sexually and do all this other crap. They kill animals in front of them. So imagine like if you were, even at your age now, whatever age you are, say you're 40, 50, if somebody murdered a cat or a dog in front of you, like slit its throat, wouldn't you be pretty traumatized, right? Unless you are a psychopath and you're immune to that, wouldn't you be like, oh my God, you would be traumatized, even at that age, right? You'd be like, I've never seen it. The guy just slit his cat's throat. You probably call the police, maybe knock the guy out, which would probably be the proper thing to do. But nonetheless, you would be traumatized. So imagine at 2, 3, 4 years old, 5, 6, 7. You wouldn't even know what to think or do. All you knew of a cat was, you have a cat at home and you Whiskers the cat or whatever, and you go Puss in Boots, and you're like, oh, I got a cat, I love my cat, right? And these cute little cats, cute little furballs, all kids love their pets, right? And then suddenly some adult just slits the cat's throat while he's wearing a druid cloak. And then he says, look, if you tell anybody about the stuff going on underground here during your daycare session, well, we're going to do this to your cat and your mom and your dad. So that's how they get these kids to live a life of silence. They actually put them through trauma where they create alter personalities and they block all of this out. And these psychopaths in the occult know how to program these kids that way. So that's why they do it and they're not afraid to do it, because they've been trained in the occult to know how to be practitioners and do this stuff so that kids aren't going to run to the police, that they traumatize them so much that they will remain silent. And that's how they've always gotten away with it. So when books like this had come out, thanks to things like McMartin, some of the children felt safe coming out and telling their parents about it. That's what happened, right? The kid in McMartin went to the doctor's office. The mom saw, his rectum was all red and stuff and took him there. And the doctor was like, this kid's been penetrated. Then they're like, oh my gosh, they asked the kid what happened. The kid tells them, right? They're like, don't be afraid. Mommy and daddy would tell us anything. Kid's like, I don't want to tell, I'm afraid. And they're like, you could tell us. The kid finally tells. Then they tell the other parents. The other parents talk to their kids all come forward. That's how McMartin happened. That's how a mass awakening occurred. And the government stepped in and went, it's the most expensive trial ever. All your tax money's paying for this trial. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These people are trying to make money by saying Satan, the devil, and blood worship. And they put it on Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and Geraldo, as I've covered over the years. And what everybody do? Everybody got mad at the Christians for talking about this stuff because they're like, well, it's costing us tax money. This is ridiculous, right? They go in, they dismiss the case. Conveniently, 5 days later, they bulldozed the entire property so they could build a massive, building on it so nobody could ever get underground and see what was under there. Ted Gunderson, as I've talked about, got access to the land beforehand and in between, found tunnels, took photos, went around the country talking about it, showing you how there's direct tunnels to airports. They're flying these kids in and out, right? Again, all the stuff on McMartin's on the website as well, which I highly recommend people join if they really want to wake up to what's going on. So books like this, because of things like that, kids came forward, and then people were trying to write books to educate parents on this stuff so that they could get their children to talk, because as much as the child loves the parents, they're afraid to, because they're threatened at a young age. Like I said, imagine being threatened at 50 by somebody standing in front of you slitting the throat of a cat, right? Let alone imagine they did it with a child at that age, which I'm sure they did. They showed the other kids getting killed in front of them. It's stuff that you can't even comprehend. So this was, again, in one of the children's books, nothing that happens in the circle can be told outside of the circle is what the kids are told. There is no way out because there is no end to it. Your parents have given you to us. They know what is happening. And the kids are just like, because their brains are like sponges at age, they're absorbing this stuff and then they don't know how to comprehend. And this is what we've seen in Hollywood. This is why most of these kids who are victims as children, like say Macaulay Culkin, right? You look at now, they're creepy as can be. They're referencing adrenochrome every day and Pizzagate every day, like with rabbit ears and all the other stuff that they do. And they look weird. You can see it in their faces. They don't even look human. It's a generational thing. They go through it, then they put their kids through it. They don't even think it's wrong because they've been trained at such a young age that this is the way things are. This is normal, right? Because your brain at that age is just processed. You don't know anything. Right? Your brain is just completely, it's like a new computer that is going to be programmed, right? And the parents have the opportunity to program them, the children, by teaching them right from wrong, teaching about God and the Bible, which again is why they want you in the school system at such a young age, as the government wants to start programming your brain at a young age so they could tell you about fake history and how, oh my gosh, all the stuff that happened in World War II and these victims who were really the ones who were responsible for all the pedophilia and everything else, right? And they go on and on and on and program you. Right? Well, most of these people in the occult, their kids immediately get programmed like this. And it's satanic ritual abuse, and then they never break from it. They never admit to it or anything like that, So human sacrifice, again, it runs rampant. And truly, it's gotten so insane in 2026 that it's a left-right issue talking about abortion, right? It's absurd. Satanic Temple, right? I've talked about them so many times. The only things that the Satanic Temple is just this, it's a front really, but they have direct connections to the CIA. All the stuff that they're involved in. What are they involved in? They go after anybody who claims to be a victim of satanic ritual abuse, and they constantly promote abortion and go after anybody who is opposed to abortion. So they look like a human right. We're human rights. We're all for trans. We're all for LGBT. I almost said the F-A blank S word. You know what I'm saying? One of the best words of all time, which we're not allowed to say anymore. But Satanic Temple proudly announced America's newest abortion clinic. This is stuff that they're doing. right? They're tax exempt by our government. They're rolling around Baphomet statues, right? This is what they care about, the Satanists, right? Because they've normalized human sacrifice through abortion. Even Cosmopolitan, I covered this years ago. How does satanic abortion ceremony even work, where they're grooming people, even taking it past the fact that, an abortion is a murder. Then there's coming out going, well, it is murder. It's even a satanic abortion ritual. But they use humor to try to make people, young girls go, it's funny. Cosmopolitan, right? One of the, Cosmopolitan, massive brainwashing of young teenage girls, getting them into sex at a young age, among other things, including promoting satanic abortion ceremonies. So human sacrifice goes all the way from places like 9 circles, right? The 9 ladies stone circle, the Stonehenge, to day-to-day stuff like abortions. And all these rituals are normalized in front of us. We have events like Burning Man, which I've covered, right? Which has been normalized in movies like The Wicker Man, all human sacrifice. But the thing is that they go, this guy's yelling about the Burning Man, saying we're murdering people here. And all we're doing is getting high on LSD, being, a bunch of queers. And, we're drinking and having a good time. Nobody's getting sacrificed here until, of course, you hear about people somebody died there, right? But they want you to look at those events and say, it's this Burning Man, it's a good fun time. These guys are all buzzkills, people like a call for an uprising, they're Debbie Downers. They're trying to ruin everybody's fun by saying everything's satanic and all that stuff. It is. I mean, the Burning Man is based off the Wicker Man, which is based off of, true events that have occurred. Now, look at all these movies. I'm going to show you a couple clips here, even though I know this is a long video. It's dragging on. But I wanted to rant about it because, again, these days I don't have much time, but anytime I see a satanic ritual, this stuff that most of my old subscribers are always like, I always covered all the time. We have movies like Midsummer, The Believers, The Wicker Man, Apostle, The Ritual. These are all movies where the plot of these movies revolves around human sacrifice rituals during festivals, right? Here are a couple of clips from Midsummer, from The Believers, which also has to do with summer solstice, because that's believed that the sacrifice they're asking him to make is during summer solstice, right? But this is how they deprogram you, by telling you the truth through movies, telling you movies are fake, they're entertainment, right? So you go to the movies and you see all this stuff, you're like, that never happens in real life. That'll never happen in real life. Meanwhile, it's happening around you. Movies like Terminator, all this stuff with AI, all told to you through movies, right? Things like the pandemic, all told you through movies like Outbreak and all those other ones, Contagion and everything else, right? And then you're saying, it's all fake. What's real is the news. Meanwhile, that's what's manufactured. That's what's make-believe. So the truth you actually will find in movies. And that's why what do you tell me? All these movies about summer solstice, the equinoxes, Halloween period, Samhain, all these ritual killings. Just some writer had a pen and a piece of paper. He's like, this would be really cool. I can make a lot of money. And they just write the same stories over and over and over again. Because it's the truth. They know that by showing you this stuff, it desensitizes you to it. And then it makes your brain, because you're thinking in reality that you're watching something fiction. When you hear about it in the real world, be like, like the movie? But that doesn't really happen every day. No, it happens every single day.
I told you that I want to go to that festival in Sweden.
No, you said it would be cool to go.
Yeah, and then I got the opportunity and I decided to do it.
I don't mind you going. I just wish you would have told me, that's all.
Dude, she needs a therapist. You've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now.
And don't forget about all of the beautiful Swedish women you'll meet in June.
Okay, guys.
That's not her again. Seriously?
Babe, what's happening? Danny.
I was so very sorry to hear about what happened.
I'm sorry.
I invited Danny to come to Sweden. You know what she's been going through.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Unbelievable.
Welcome and happy midsummer. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
How long have you two been together?
Just over 3.5 years.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's like another world.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Is it scary?
What is it?
It has special properties.
What am I going through?
We just need to acclimate.
I don't want to acclimate. I want to go.
Absolutely not.
What's happening? I don't know why you invited us.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know.
We only do this every 90 years. I was most excited for you to come.
Of course you're uncertain, Cal. Naturally, so was I, till I met him. But now imagine, if you can, a life without uncertainty, freedom from doubt, the ability to choose, single-mindedness.
One life from each of us, Cal, is all he asks. And he rewards our devotion 1,000-fold.
Personal desires, oh yes, of course, anything. That's part of it.
It's only the beginning.
There was a time, Cal, when man was at one with the gods before the fall. Now we're at one again. And their benediction is power. It's a power you can't imagine. Power to create a world of our choosing. Power to destroy those who oppose us. We want you to join us.
Create this ground with this Father's humble offering. We seek the strength and wisdom of our benefactors.
We call upon the ancient gods to renew our strength and guide your hand to strike down the enemies of our faith and of this great nation.
We welcome our brother Cal, reborn into your grace.
Ayawaladama,
the power which is our birthright,
Herabanya,
the glory which is our destiny,
Anjukukajin Tasmala,
our enemies consumed by winds of fire,
Ong Pangai Mulula Sonina,
our strength reborn in sacrifice.
Identi Sonina, Monsaya Denti Sonina.
So again, summer solstice ritual killing. I'm sure they'll do whatever they can to dismiss the story. This should be national news to me. If the news was real, this would be a national story, right? They only reported on it because they know even by bringing attention to it, well, it'll get headlines and people will just dismiss it. Oh, it's not really something. Get the people fighting. Get the pagans to fight against the Christians. The Christians will go, whatever. I'm more interested in Trump and all the stuff going on here in America than realizing, wow, there's actually people partaking in these rituals and committing human sacrifice. Yeah, and it's never stopped. And some of the biggest stories that we've heard about from the West Memphis 3 on, all revolve around Aleister Crowley's teachings of human sacrifice and blood sacrifice. You see it in Hollywood every day. You see it in politics every day. It's right in front of us, and they get away with murder, literally. So Christians should be more aware, but we know these types of things will not be taught in church because most people go to church to sit there and daydream, to show up, to show face, and they never want to talk about God's warnings about some of the worship and sacrifice to Baal that occurs. They talk about the Psalms, they talk about wonderful things. And of course, there's a lot of wonderful things, obviously, in the Bible. But most Christians are so naive to what's really going on in the world. Because one, the churches don't teach it, and two, they don't want to hear it. Because it's too stressful for me to hear. Oh, is it? Well, if we had a society of tougher, thicker-skinned people and more men were men, then these people would be stopped from literally committing human sacrifice and killing children. But instead, everyone just runs to their pupil on social media, posts about Jeffrey Epstein and how everyone in Hollywood's a pedophile and does nothing actually about it. And that's the world that we live in. But if you look at stories like this, it should at least cause a mass awakening where people go, wow, there's murders revolving around, look, the stones, right? The stones 33 feet apart, 33 to 36 feet, right? The 666 and the 33, the third of the fallen angels. What these things actually represent, why they use ritual circles, Aleister Crowley. Nobody has any idea about it because they think it's all make-believe, like the movie The Craft. They're like, that's all fake. No, that's all actually real. And you've been indoctrinated with magic since you were born. because 99% of people have been indoctrinated with Disney from a very, very young age. So this rant is over. I thank everyone for being here. Again, if you want to join the website at callforanuprising.com, it's $2.99 a month. It's ad-free. That obviously helps me make more content, but it also helps, the reason the website has a fee is because it used to get a lot of trolls. Now, I'm pretty much non-existent, which is fine by me as I'm winding down my run here of making content. I'm very close to the end, but nonetheless, the website has unlimited amount of space for me to store all of these very long videos that I do and have done over the years. I have thousands of them over there, so that's why there's a charge, because I have to pay a monthly charge, which costs a lot of money to be able to do that. So for people who go, why would you charge for that? Well, I can't put thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions of hours worth of content over there without having to pay for the storage space on the actual website. And I'm in the hole for the most part of doing it because nobody joins the website, which is fine. I totally get it and I understand. And I take signs like that as, hey, when your time's up, your time's up. And obviously my time is getting closer and closer to being up, making content. But I wanted to make this for everybody out there. When I saw the headlines, I'm sure some of you went, unbelievable. Yep, absolutely unbelievable. I'm sure the guy will walk just like the rest of them. The system is set up to protect them. They live, we sleep. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.